workbook series from Teacher Goals and Quiver Vision. With the Quiver app, students unlock interactive experiences that teach path of motion, phonics, writing, and more. This is perfect for schools that are one-to-one or have tablet stations set up for students to learn. Our augmented reality workbooks are changing the way kids learn, read, and develop literacy skills. They'll love the interactive experiences, and you'll love the results. Email us today about bulk purchases for your classroom, school, or district. contact@teachergoals.com. My first augmented reality workbook series, Unlocking the Power of Learning.
Hey, welcome to the Teacher Goals podcast. This is your host, Erica Terry. As always, I am super excited to be here. I am having some internet issues, so if there is a delay, just let me know because I feel like my internet is running slow for some reason, but we are still here. Hopefully everything will go fine without any hiccups. But as you know, I love to know who we have hanging out with us tonight. So tell me where you're from, your role in education, and as you are making those summer break plans, I want to hear what they are. We have a great conversation lined up for you today. We're going to be talking to Jennifer Orr about how to use multisensory instruction to build confident readers. And so this is going to definitely be a fun and interesting conversation. Super excited to engage in it. If this is your first time hanging out with us, then let me tell you how we roll here at the Teacher Goals podcast. When I bring Jennifer up, I'm going to be asking her some questions throughout our interview. Feel free to put your questions in the chat because she is going to stay on to make sure that she not only answers my questions, but that she answers your questions as well. So I will be going through all of the comments and asking her your specific questions. So make sure that you put them in so that she can answer your questions. With that being said, I just want to shout out a few people that we have hanging out with us tonight. We have Ali. Hello, how are ya? Thanks for hanging out with us. We have Sandy from the Barbados. We have Catherine, who is a reading intervention teacher from South Cali. We have Michelle here, who's from North Carolina. We have Beverly down here in the South with me in the ATL. So welcome, everyone. We are super excited that you are here and just keep letting us know where you're from. I love to see where you're from and what specific area you teach in. So make sure that you share that with us. But I don't want to hold us here all night. So what I'm going to do now is bring up the wonderful Jennifer Orr. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Great, thank you. How are you, Erica?
I am great. I am great. Other than this internet, like I just don't know what's going on, but we are here. Super excited to be able to chat with you today. And as everyone here in this community knows, I am super nosy. So I like to know the background story. You are here to share with us all about how to use multisensory instruction to build confident readers. But what happened specifically in your education journey that, first of all, made you start using this strategy? But then, secondly, what made you say, I am going to empower other teachers to use this strategy as well? Tell us the story.
Well, this is a really a great question, and it's one I love being asked because really my motivation for creating multisensory literacy materials really came when I was wholly submersed in teaching kindergarten. So I was a kindergarten teacher for a number of years, and at the same time, probably about 3 years in, I had a daughter who was in kindergarten and another daughter who was in preschool. So I was teaching phonics, phonemic awareness, and high frequency word instruction, both in the classroom and at home. And I was really sort of in deep. And I noticed both in my classroom, but with my daughters at home as well, that they were just really missing that spark of engagement that I would see when they were engaged in, play-based activities or sensory activities. And I thought, there must be a way to sort of embed this sort of sensory and play-based learning and connect it to literacy. Because I was seeing kids kind of yawning and eyes darting and rolling around on the carpet, as educators, I'm sure can relate to. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. So that was really sort of the motivation for how I started to research and look for and build and test strategies to see what might work with learners. And I was experimenting with sort of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic input combined with play when I was teaching letter sounds as well as high frequency words. And what I discovered is that when I incorporated that sort of multi-sensory input, or sometimes we call it whole brain teaching, I found that kids were really engaged, but also that they were, participative, and they were learning and retaining and recalling really much more easily. And I thought, hey, I think I might be onto something here. And so at that point, I began to really create resources at night when my own kids were in bed. And I'm sure there's a lot of teachers at home that can relate to, staying up late nights on their laptop with the light on in their bedroom, trying to create resources. And that's essentially how I started. And I would build these resources, make them, and then I would share them with my teaching team at school and say, let's try them and give me your feedback. And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and I knew we're kind of onto something here. So what I did at that point was reach out to some universities and ask, is there anybody who would be interested in doing some research on this? Because I'm seeing some very positive feedback. I've done data collection on this, but I think, this would be worthwhile to really dig deeper into. And to my amazement, a team out of Stanford was really very interested in the high frequency word component of the multisensory resources that I developed. And they designed quite a large study around high frequency word acquisition. And the study was actually published in a top tier academic journal called Learning and Instruction in volume 65. And really demonstrated the efficacy and value in this multisensory learning approach when teaching high frequency word instruction. So that was the start and how things got rolling for me.
Awesome. Great story. Love that it is backed by research. But for someone who is listening right now and they're not really familiar with the multisensory learning approach, how can you define it? Like, how can you kind of just explain briefly what it is before we begin diving into specific strategies that teachers can use in their classroom?
Yeah, perfect, Erica. I think that's a great way to kind of roll back and make sure we're all on the same page. So multisensory learning, and as I mentioned, I think it's sometimes called whole brain learning, really involves engaging more than one sense at a time in the learning process through the use of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic or movements. So adding that input into the learning. And the multisensory approach is really proven to enhance engagement, as I said, memory, and ability to learn. And in fact, cognitive neuroscience through brain scans have shown that when we teach using multiple senses simultaneously, neurons in the brain actually fire at the same time and then wire together to create these neural networks. And these neural networks actually allow the brain to store and retrieve information much more efficiently than with just unisensory learning. That's where only one sense is engaged. So in essence, that's the sort of the short version of what is multisensory learning.
Awesome. And so when we dive into multisensory learning and using multisensory instruction, especially in the area of reading, what I want to do tonight is kind of walk teachers through some practical examples of how they can implement this in their classroom in order to build confident readers. So from your experience, like, equip us with a strategy that you have found to be effective, or have seen other teachers effectively implement in their classrooms.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'll use the example of multisensory high frequency words because that's where the research is, and that's the sort of flagship resource that iWords represents or uses. So I'm gonna back up a little bit and just make sure that everybody's on the same page about what are high frequency words.
Yes.
So high frequency words are really those words that appear most frequently in any text. The 100 most common words represent about 50% of everything, like all the words on a page. So in any text, whether it's a novel or a children's book or a newspaper article. So it's words like the, to, as, is, those sort of benign, they seem like benign words, but they contribute a lot to the text on a page. And so these are the first words that we want to anchor into a student's memory. And so this is why high frequency word instruction remains such a valuable component to any literacy program. And I know, as we move into structured literacy and we're really focusing very much on sound mapping and phonics, high frequency word instruction is still a very, very big component of a comprehensive literacy program. So the ability then to sight read these words allows learners to read more fluently and with greater comprehension. And when I say sight read, what I really mean is that they have learned to read these words automatically. They no longer have to decode. When they see it, they can read it the same way you and I would read it.
Right.
Right. And so the difficulty, though, is that with high frequency words, so many of these words are hard to contextualize. It's not, a lot of them are words like is, the, to, as. They don't conjure up a natural image in a person's head the way that house or cat would be relatable for a child. So initially, kids don't have context for these words, which makes them difficult. But also, additionally, a lot of them are phonetically either irregular or phonetically tricky. So they might be decodable, but they are hard to sound out. Sorry, I'm just worried my light just went out here. I just want to make sure okay, we're good. I just want to make sure I wasn't losing power. So a lot of them are tricky to sound out, and kids might be exposed to these words long before they learn the rule of phonics that goes with some of them. So basically, that's the background on what high frequency words are. And then what a multisensory way of teaching high frequency words would look like is that we would take a word and then embed it with a contextual picture. So I'm just going to hold up an example. Oh, is that backwards? I guess it is. But this is the word go. So what we've done is taken the O and made it green, like a green light. So the image is suggesting that, you know, when you go on green, and we put green into the circle like it's a green light. And then the auditory cue or little chant would be go on green, go on green. And the kinesthetic action would be for the student to put their hands on a steering wheel and press a pedal down with their foot like they're about to take off at a green light. So that's that, you know, so that includes a visual image that's contextual to the word. We've now given the word go context. You go, you know, you move forward on go, or you go on green, you go. We've given it an auditory cue and a kinesthetic action. So now we've created a multisensory component to that word. And then the second element of this is that we would break the word down by phoneme. So the G says G, so there's a dot under the G representing the G sound. And then the O, actually in this case, is a lonely vowel, so it says its own name. It doesn't break any phonetic rules, but it is a hard rule of phonics that a student in kindergarten may not have been exposed to yet. So we break the word down that way. And I'm going to show you another word just to make it even a little more clear. We use the heart word method. So in this case, the word is said. Sorry, it's backwards. But the dot represents a regular sound, and a heart now represents an irregular sound. So in this word, the AI actually make one sound, which is a short E-eh sound. So we're going to mark that with a heart because that's not an expected sound. That's an irregular sound. And then the D makes an expected D sound. So what we've done now is we've created visual, auditory, and kinesthetic multisensory component. We've broken or mapped the word down by phoneme. And then the third element is really, it's play. We create a series of play-based games and activities, all designed to support attention, motivation, self-regulation. They're all play-based. And they really help students to consolidate that learning through touching, moving, seeing, hearing. So that is really the crux of how we've designed this method and these resources.
Yes, and I love the cards that you were using, and it made me remember that I forgot to announce that we are going to have a giveaway today at the end of the episode. So you want to make sure that you stay on, that you engage, ask questions, because those examples of the cards that you're giving away today.
Absolutely. So we're going to give away 3 sets. These are the first 150 high frequency words. And so these represent the 3 main word lists that are used by school districts. So there's 150 words here, but they cover the top 100 words across those 3 main word lists. So they should cover the first 100 words in your school district's high frequency word list.
Yes, so love it. Make sure you guys stay on to the end. I'm super excited about that. And so let's keep diving in. This was such a great example. And so as teachers are, really teaching these high frequency words, of course, they can use these cards. They're using these multiple sensories. And I love how you pulled that out, especially with Go. It was just so clear. And so let's give another, do you have another strategy or tool that teachers can use as they're implementing these strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll show you these right now. So this is another great, I don't know, can you see that?
It's me, sorry.
No, okay. These are digital downloads that are printable. So when you're introducing each word, after you've used the card to introduce the word, and I would recommend, if you're going to use this resource, I would recommend initially the class-wide instruction or the initial introduction. You really follow the specific steps which are laid out in the decks. Each deck comes with instructions, and I would follow those instructions really explicitly as you first initially introduce, because we want to make that learning errorless. But then, after that, we can set up centers and activities that kids can play with the words and engage in all kinds of play-based, fun sensory games and activities. This is just a printable that you might want to use to help reinforce the phoneme segmenting. So, we initially show you the visual with the sensory, the multisensory component, and then break it down by phoneme. And if there is a heart component, and remember this is the O because it's backwards, if there's a heart component, that is included in the worksheet, and then kids would write the words. So first they see it, they say it, they map it, they graph it, and then they write it at the bottom. That's another example. I just want to tell you that the top 10 of all of these resources, whether it be the cards or the printables, are all available for free download on the website iwords.com. So you're welcome to pull a lot of different activities just to try out if you want to. But some other, great things to do in a classroom, and teachers share these ideas with us all the time. As I said, in the decks, we give you about 8 different activities per deck, but then teachers share incredible ideas with us all the time that we're always posting on our socials, on Instagram daily. Things that are like, there's sensory activities that you write the words in sand. So you can show the multisensory card and then have the students write it in sand or in salt or shaving cream. I've seen there's building the words with Play-Doh or mapping the sounds with clothespins. Great active, like games with rules. We've got a headbands game where the kids have to act out the word that they see, and then the other child has to guess. Activities with print, like I just showed you. Real cooperative play like hopscotch. I can't think of them all right now, but they're all sort of posted on our Instagram site.
Yes.
That's some really fun things for kids to do to help consolidate that learning. So that initial instruction piece is important, and then the rest of it is a lot of play for consolidation.
Yes, and these are such great strategies. Definitely going to have a good Q&A today because I see them coming in. But these are some awesome strategies. One question that I did see come in that I thought was very interesting is, how can this same strategy be used at home as parents are working with their children?
Fantastic question. And what I'm going to tell you is that we have designed this resource to be really user-friendly, both at home and at school. So as I mentioned, the resource itself comes with very, very explicit instructions and games and activities to use. The other thing that's great about it is that, I know teachers are just learning how to map a lot of these words. So parents, we've taken all that work out of it for you and done the mapping for you. So really, anything that's in here can be used in a classroom or easily transferred to home. We've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible and not requiring a ton of background knowledge at all.
Love it. And I love how you all have created these resources that make it easier for teachers and parents alike. But as we all have experienced in our lives, all good things come with challenges. And so let's kind of talk about some of the challenges that teachers or parents face as they are trying to, teach their children how to read or improve their reading with this multisensory approach?
Yeah, so I would say that the biggest challenge that I hear from educators before they've used the product, just at the beginning when they're learning about it, is how am I going to embed this into an already really full curriculum or structured literacy program? I'm already, sort of got a lot to do. How am I going to embed this into my program? And so that's a real challenge for teachers who are swamped and trying to cover a lot of curriculum. And my response to that is, I will be honest, there is an initial time investment. When you introduce a card or a word, the way that I just mentioned, you have to introduce it explicitly. Mm-hmm. It requires explicit instruction. I would recommend doing it whole group. So in this case, you would say this word says go, and then point out, look, the O is turned into a green light. And what do we do on go? We go, or what do we do on a green light? We go on green. And then, show the action. So put your foot down and put your hands on the wheel. Look, and pump the pedal. I'm going on green. So you would introduce it, and then you would have the student repeat. This part has to be errorless, because if a student learns it wrong the first time, they may remember it that way. Mm-hmm. So that initial instruction and then breaking down of the phonemes. And in this case, if you're going to use our multisensory orthographic cards that include the phoneme breakdown, then this means that students will require a letter sound awareness. If they don't have letter sound awareness and you just want to build a big sight vocabulary quickly, you can certainly do that. We have another product that just has the multisensory component, and that's fine too. And students will absolutely learn to sight read these. But because I know that many educators and parents are wanting to build, phonemic awareness at the same time, we've included this component. But the biggest, sort of concern by educators is, how am I going to fit that in? So really, that is about as much time as it takes to introduce a word. And you can use this with any scope and sequence. So if your board has a scope and sequence, or if your district has a scope and sequence, you can use their scope and sequence and put the words into their scope and sequence. Or we have a free downloadable scope and sequence that you can use as well. So that is the only real time commitment, and that's the biggest question and concern that I get from educators is, how am I going to dovetail this in with what I'm already doing? And we've worked really hard to make this easy, not a giant time commitment, and easy to embed into an already existing curriculum. The center activities, you're probably already setting up centers already. Yes. So this is easy, and we give you all the ideas, and we try and make those centers fairly easy to set up.
Awesome. And so for someone that is listening right now and they're like, I really want to try this multisensory approach to reading, what is one action that when they walk into their classroom tomorrow, or when they call their child in the room tonight, what is like one action that they can take?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, just go to the website and download the first top 10 for free. I promise you, if the instructions are there, if you try this, take 2 words with your child or with a student in your class, or as a class, and introduce them this way. I promise you, the kids are going to have a great time. But more importantly, even, is that they're going to be successful at learning these words. And you can take the data, and you will see it's been done many, many times. But I promise you, I will make a believer of you if you download the free set, first 10 words, and your students will fly through them.
Awesome. And so we already put up the website. Thank you, Elena. Shout out to her for where you can download these resources. But for people that want to check out your Instagram and get all of the tips that you share, or just learn more from you, tell us, where can they find you?
Yep. So our Instagram is @iWordsLearning. So's our Facebook and TikTok. So all three are at iWords Learning.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was such an amazing interview. I knew it was going to be a great conversation, but I already see, like, in the chat, our listeners, Evelyn says, I like this method better. It allows teachers to meet so many unmet needs of students in a diverse classroom setting. Creative Teacher Team says, love this. And so I just want to say thank you. Like, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing such great tips and strategies with us tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much. I did want to mention, because it was brought up, that is that, you know, it's essential for some, but good for all. So these are really designed to support all learners in your classroom. They're great for English language learners, of course, great for early learners, but as well as students needing a reading intervention. So this product has really been designed to support all learners.
Love it. Thank you so much. And so we're going to jump right in because we have quite a few questions tonight. And I did find some comments that I wanted to bring. I love this. Tyler said, neurons that fire together, wire together. And so as you were explaining multisensory, he put that out there, and I thought that was a great quote. Thank you so much, Tyler, for sharing that. And then he also asked a great question. Has there been any research, or do you have any experience implementing multisensory techniques with children or persons who express a learning or intellectual disability? So I know you kind of touched on that just a moment ago, but can you give us some specific examples of how this strategy can be used with students with disabilities?
Hi, Tyler, that's a great question. There has been actually quite a lot of research on using multisensory techniques with students with specific learning disabilities and developmental delays as well. I can't off the top of my head cite them right now. And the studies are, but the studies are actually linked in the iWords study, or in the Stanford research. In the they've been in the bio, they're referenced there. So you should be able to find those in there. But there is actually quite a large body of research on multisensory techniques to support students with disabilities.
Awesome. And so we have Valerie, who says that she conducted a similar multisensory research with her own children to assist them in the process of eating their vegetables. I thought that was really creative. Do you have any other examples, like maybe outside of the classroom, how this approach can be used as well?
Well, I mean, with my own children, I used to do this in our house. Used to look like a classroom. I would say we post sight words around our kitchen, and then I'd give my kids like those little Nerf guns. And so I'd call out a word, and they would shoot that. They, try and shoot that word. Or we would have, I'd lay them out on my daughter's bed when she was little, and I'd put 2 at the end of the bed, and I'd say, do a somersault to this word. And as they get better, instead of me calling out the word, then I would have them do kinesthetic movement or an activity, and say, so maybe I'd say, roll to a word, now read me that word. So, we sort of scaffold it to get trickier and trickier for the learner. We might say, find this word, and then we might say, find a word, now read me that word. I was doing a lot of that with my kids for sure when they were little, but they loved it. They didn't feel like they were learning. I'd hide them around our family room and say, go find a word, and when you find it, come and read it to me. Just making it fun.
Love that. Elena says she loves that idea. She might have to try that game with her daughter at home. So yes, I love these game examples that you gave us. And Tyler says, thank you so much for the response, Jennifer. And so I saw one more question. I'm going to it right now. When you were sharing the cards, the question came up from Catherine. What grade levels are these targeted towards? And I thought that was a great question to bring up.
Hi, Catherine. Yeah, that is a great question. So these are targeted from K to 2. We do have new resources coming out, actually probably in the next couple of months, which will go up to grade 3, as well as alphabet resources that are coming out that will go backwards to sort of pre-K, K. But these specific ones that I'm showing you today are K to 2. And again, of course, ELL learners may need them later, in terms of grade level, and students requiring an intervention.
Yes. So I think I got everything. I'm going through the chat one more time. But I think I got it all. Valerie, you made me smile tonight. You are more than welcome for your spotlight moment. That one made me laugh. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you all for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. Before we go, I promised you that we were gonna have a giveaway, and so it is giveaway time. I'm gonna put the camera on you, Jennifer, so once again you can show us what the prize is tonight, and then let us know who the winner is.
So you're going to be getting 3 sets of iWords cards. This is set 1, words 1 to 50, which is really a K1 product. Or for early learners, if they're just ready and you want to accelerate early learners. This is set 2, words 51 to 100, and set 3, words 101 to 150. So I will be giving these 3 away to one lucky winner, and I'll ship those out to you tomorrow.
Awesome. And have you chosen who our winner is going to be?
I think I will choose Catherine.
Yes. So I thought I was moving fine. I had it good, but here we go. This Catherine.
You got her.
Yes. And so if you, Catherine, can, she says, yay. And so if you can connect, what's the best way? Is it by email, DM? How would you like her to share her information?
Yeah, Catherine, would it be possible for you to email me at Jen, Jen, at iwords.com? Maybe somebody could put that in the chat.
Yes, I will make you said JEN at iwords.com.
Yep.
All right, so I'll put that up, Catherine, if you can send that email. Congratulations for winning. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us every Thursday. We're here every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you for engaging and asking so many great questions tonight. And also, Jennifer, just thank you for sharing all of this wealth of knowledge. It was such an amazing interview. We all learned so much and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everyone. It was my pleasure to be here.
Yes, and everyone, you all have a great evening. I know many of you are on a countdown. You are almost there. Keep holding on. Yes. And get ready for summer because we got so many fun events planned for summer. And before you go, let me mention that next week, we at Teacher Goals are having a full week of AI, PD, and conference sessions. And so it's absolutely free. There are going to be a ton of speakers, including myself, who's going to be sharing how to implement AI in your inclusive classroom while you're co-planning. And so a lot of great sessions, and you can find that information on the Teacher Goals website at the week of AI. It's like teachergoals.com/week-of-AI. Or if I'm sure you're following us right now, there are plenty of posts that talk about the week of AI. So make sure you sign up because it is all free. There we go. We have it at teachergoals.com/AI-week. And so make sure you register for the free conference. We are going to have a ball. Super excited about it. And with that being said, because we are going to be conferencing all next week, we are going to be skipping our podcast because there are going to be AI events going on next week. So you will see us back here in 2 weeks. And yes, we will still be rocking and rolling next week. And we hope to see all of you there with us. So thank you for hanging out with us, everyone, and have a great night.